Welcome to the Suspension Sessions from RBC, the podcast that dives into the science, service and setup behind MTB suspension. I'm Glen, and together Robbie and I explore the fundamentals every rider should understand, from sag and seals to tuning, service intervals and long-term performance. If you want your suspension dialed, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Now that you've got your suspension working great and you're ready to go riding, what can we do at the start of the setup of the suspension, Rob?
Glenn, so sag is for me the key. Setting up your suspension is super important. Everybody rides differently, everybody's body is built differently, everyone's bikes are sized differently. Which is why I always tell guys when they come to me but I set it up according to the manufacturer's website. I said, that's all fine and well. The manufacturer doesn't see you. He doesn't know your body style. He doesn't know your riding type. He doesn't know the bike you're riding, the size, anything like that. They're just giving you a general idea. So it's all good to start with, but it's not the holy grail of getting the suspension set up. Suspension setup is like a bike fitting. It's really personalized, and everybody has the correct suspension setup for themselves. You can't pigeonhole it into a setting on the back of your fork leg or your shock manual where it says if you weigh X amount, you've got to do this. So we spend a lot of time and effort when it comes to suspension setup. And I mean, I've been doing it for years now, 10 years, all over the world. So we experiencing some really good success with how we're working. But it's no secret. It's just understanding the rider's requirements, listening to what they say, and then, setting the suspension up correctly.
So what things do you need to take in mind then? If you look at the manufacturer and what they recommend, what would be the reason for you to depart from those settings?
Well, I think for me personally, the first thing I'm going to say to any of my clients is, what type of riding are you planning on doing? That's the first question I'm going to ask them. And based on that answer, I can already set up a profile in my mind, based on my experience I've had. Then I'm also going to say, okay, well, look at what bike you're riding and what you can achieve. If your riding goals are aligned to the bike you're riding, we can work with it. But sometimes the goals and the bike are not aligned, where we need to then look at making some changes to the suspension itself. So for instance, if a 120 kilogram rider is sitting on a cross-country bike with 100 mils travel, the fork is designed for cross-country feel, and it's not going to give him a plush ride. So we need to then look at alternatives to help that customer, and that's a different conversation altogether. So, but that's just an example of aligning the ride with the equipment. But
so what you're saying is, sorry to interrupt you there, is the type of riding you do, whether you're doing cross country or a downhill or enduro, would then affect how you set up your sag?
100%, eh? And it's very personal. I know a lot of downhill riders who want really stiff setups. It does work with downhill. Enduro is a different matter. So for those guys, we look at a little bit of a different setup. Obviously for trail riders, most guys want a nice plush feel and a little bit firmness in the mid-stroke. And, you get a lot of guys throwing out a lot of jargon. They've done some homework, but putting that into practice requires someone like myself who's versed in understanding what the suspension and how it's working. So it's great to know what you're doing, but putting into practice is a little bit different. So we step into that role and help a lot of guys with that. So and of course, obviously cross country, again, very different. Dirt jumping, again, very different. But I come back to it again, it's a very personalized thing. It's not... You can't pigeonhole as if you're a cross-country rider, you've got to ride like this. It's a very personal thing.
So it depends on the type of riding, your style of riding, and then again on the suspension that you're working with.
Correct. Yeah. So some suspensions can be quite involved when it comes to setup. Understanding that takes a little bit of time. And bracket riding, so we'll do like some ride testing where the guys can bracket it. In other words, they will go and do a run and we'll look at the time, we'll make some changes and we'll come again and we'll... the changes are very small. So 5 PSI here and there, or 1 click of compression, 1 click of rebound. And then, get the guy to be in a sweet spot where they're feeling like the bike is working properly for them. But generally, understanding the requirements from our experience, it's quite easy to get to a starting point that's within a couple of clicks of where they should be.
So what would you notice if your sag was too little or too much?
Well, too little sag means that there's too much pressure in the fork, and that's going to create a whole lot of issues. So you're riding on top of your suspension. So basically you need to get your wheel to go over the obstacle. If the wheel can move independently and freely of your weight, so in other words, the 2 kilograms of the front wheel moving against your 80 kilograms sitting on the handlebars, it's going to work much better if that wheel can move freely within the required suspension space. If it's not, it's got to lift your body weight up and over the object first, which will actually slow the bike down. If it's too soft, the bike is going to feel wallowy. It's going to push through the corners. You will lose traction, and it's also going to bottom out and just generally feel unsupportive. Okay.
So sag is the starting point.
Sag is the key, actually, because I mean, we're all different, and we're all different in how our bodies are made and how we sit on our bikes, and stems are longer, and et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes to setting up the sag, it's very key to firstly allow the rider to settle onto the bike with the suspension in the open position, check the sag settings, understanding what riding they're wanting to use the bike for, and also their requirements. And then proceed from there. The correct setup will transform your bike from an okay bike into an amazing machine that blends with your body and allows you to ride faster, safer, smoother, and have a lot more fun.
And I believe you guys have got a video for that too.
Yes, there is a video online. It's quite interesting. We actually send out our suspension with a little tag that gives you all the details. So we take the time to write down what we believe is your requirements on the little suspension tag. At the back of that is the QR code. You can click on that QR code with your phone and it'll take you to our suspension setup video. And having that start that we've set you up with will allow you to then follow that through with some good setups.
Cool. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, man.
Glad now people don't have to worry about sag anymore.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the next one.
Awesome.
Take care.